9 o'clock on a Monday, and it's not Si. No, get well soon, buddy. I've still got Mags with me, of course. This is the Volley. We're slipping into chain wrestling slot, so to speak, just for 1 week. We'll hit the intro. We'll talk more after that, guys. Indeed, this is the Volley with Matt Mags, and we are live here on YouTube and Twitch to talk about the latest match day in the Premier League. As before the intro, of course, Si is currently unwell, and he will be back hopefully with chain wrestling with Mags next week, of course. So Don't worry, I'm not going to try and do chain wrestling. I couldn't do it justice.
So in honour of Sa, I will go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you are listening to this. We are the Volley. We're here to give you your footballing news and results over the past weekend.
Indeed. If I was going to off the top of my head, like the set platter to my my Michel Platini, his lordship himself.
Whoa, set platter! Wow, that is a low
money bags,
blow.
Mags.
That is a low blow.
That is fair, sir. How are you, sir? Anyway, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I've got a little bit of a tickly cough. No, it is not the Rona. Just annoying little throat cough that just can't get shut off. But yeah, I'm doing good.
I hope it goes away quite quickly. I know I feel too bad tickly coughs. Connor McCabe in the chat is always saying hello, Mags and Matt. Hello to you indeed,
and also, whilst Connor's here, Connor's got some new content coming out on his solo channel in the upcoming week. So definitely go and check that out.
Absolutely, Connor. Feel free to throw that link down in the chat, and we will share that out across the socials. So we are here, of course, Mags, to talk about the Premier League from this past week.
Mm-hmm.
9 games because one was postponed. We'll get to that. But we've got to go right away back to Friday, Meg. So let us start with a game which turned out to be a little bit of a cracker. Let's start with Brentford and Watford.
Yeah, Brentford not in the best of forms, kind of really dipping between wins, draws and losses. Watford, arguably the least informed team in the Premier League, 4 straight losses. Yeah, but this was a cracking, exciting game. Some really entertaining end-to-end football. Brentford picking up the victory with a very late penalty, slotted on by Brian and Bueno, and that would be kind of like the theme of the weekend almost. And we'll get to it, but essentially all of the top 5 were affected by penalties in some way or another. But yeah, this was a solid performance for Brentford. Someone who, like we said, were kind of being found out, being kind of dropping off a little bit. But this was a real return to form, dominating in terms of possession, getting almost twice as much of the ball as Watford did, nearly 3 times the amount of shots, 5 shots on target. This was a big result as well for the rest of the teams around the relegation zone, because it keeps Watford deep in that mire. And they started off so brightly as well. I mean, the man of the hour for Watford, Emmanuel Dennis, scoring around halfway through the first half. But they just couldn't capitalise on it, and they couldn't keep Brentford out all the way through the game. And then within the last 5 minutes or so, just a massive collapse with Jansen getting the equaliser, and then obviously that very, very late penalty. I mean, it was a penalty, which
what was he doing? What was he doing?
Yeah, and I feel the most for Bachmann, because he had an outstanding game. Some great kind of like aerial saves. It was like a cat diving all over. And yeah, it's a shame that he didn't get anything out of the game. But yeah, Brentford on paper absolutely deserve this victory.
Indeed, Connor's actually right in the chat. Watford are somehow staying out of relegation zone for the time being.
By luck rather than judgment, I think.
And it is thanks to Emmanuel Denis. Let's face it, 9 goals in he's directly involved in 9 of the last 12 goals Watford have scored. And he was completely unmarked for his goal. It was a great header. It was a great header. There was nothing at all the goalkeeper could do about it at all. But Brian, I'm trying to get this right. Mbeumo?
I say Mbeumo, but
you just call the whole thing off.
Yeah, I know on some commentaries they call him Mbeumo, but to me it's like his name's like Kinder Bueno with M's instead, so it's Mbeumo. Yeah,
there's no question about it. He has been, excuse me, sorry about that.
Boring. He's been boring.
It's been a long day. No, he's far from it. In fact, he grew to the game as the game went on and fully deserved the penalty. Josh King had even hit the post in this game. They could have scored before the conversion of the corner. I just feel really, really bad for Backman. Truth Ekong, well, I'm not entirely sure. If someone out there knows what he was doing, please do get in touch at the Volley Live, because I've looked at it 3 or 4 times. I can't work out what he was doing there.
Yeah, same. I don't understand it, but the fact is that it pulled a win out of the jaws of a draw for Brentford. Something that again we'll cover over and over again on this episode, because pretty much all the top 5 had penalty incidents. So it started the weekend off exactly how it was going to finish.
Indeed. In fact, so much so that what Brentford obviously shot himself back into the top half, at least for the time being, of course, at this stage of the weekend. Watford just dangling themselves as the 17th. But of course, at this point, Burnley had 2 games in hand. If a win both of them, above they would go.
Unfortunately, they did not win both of them.
We will get to that, of course. We will, of course. We'll touch on the first one, and the leaders going into the weekend, Man City against Wolves. This game I have watched this game for my sins countless times, because it's something at 0-0 at half time in this game. I'm yet to work out what the actual fuck Raul Jimenez was thinking.
Well, before we get to that, can we talk about this City performance? And if you look at all of the top 5, they all made really hard work of picking up the victories that they needed. City,
it was a hard week.
Yeah, City absolutely demolished Wolves in every single metric. 71% possession, 24 shots compared to Wolves' 2, 10 shots on target compared to Wolves' 1, 14 corners compared to Wolves' 1. And they just couldn't break Wolves down. It took, and again, we'll repeat, it took a penalty for that to happen. Well taken penalty, very confident penalty, but Conor Cody, I thought he played out of his skin.
Goal cleared off the line, great header. Conor Cody, he made my team of the season last year. He's in line to make it again. He's single-handedly keeping this team in the mid table.
Yeah, absolutely. It was he put in what should have been a match-winning performance, because he was so good. But the Wolves goal was just being peppered with shots, and then we get to Jimenez. It was
a silly yellow card to go in the first place on halfway.
The first one was, he had no reason to go in so hard for that tackle. It was a silly booking, probably out of frustration more than anything, because he hadn't seen a lot of the ball. But then when the free kick was given, he point blank refused to give 10 yards space. And then when the free kick was taken, he actively blocked the free kick. So I think the ref had no other option than send him off. It was clear that it was another yellow card, but it shot Wolves in the foot after 45 minutes of great work, great defending. This was a huge kind of letdown for the rest of the team.
It was indeed, and what made me most is what the Wolves players, who, by the way, were covering their mouths so we can't see what was being said. By the way, if you're doing that, we know you're saying something wrong. Okay? You're arguing making it worse at this point.
Like, it's clear Raul Jimenez is a bit of a cunt.
Well, yes, Max. One word I hate more than anything else, apart from Everton 1. Right, okay. But yeah, despite that, and despite the fact that Man City got the penalty, right at the end, Wolves had a chance to come over a point still.
Yeah, and
great save by Edison.
An outstanding save by Edison. He was fuming.
I would have been. He had nothing to do all game.
Yeah, it was the header from Kilman. But yeah, I think that was his 100th clean sheet for City. Sterling got his 100th Premier League goal. So it was a record-breaking game for Man City, but it was just the epitome of what we've said about City for the last 18 months, that they do enough. They do enough to get the job done. And it's the mark of champions. When you are not performing your best. I mean, and this City demolished Wolves, and they were still not coming out of first gear. They still ended up with the win. I mean, Jack Grealish should be absolutely kicking himself for that miss
how he
near
missed
the end
that,
of the game. How he missed that was horrific.
It was easier to score.
The keeper for Wolves, Saar, he pulled out some amazing saves to deny City. Yeah, a lot of goalkeepers really kind of made names for themselves in this weekend. But yeah, City got the job done.
Indeed. What amazes me is that from the 99th to 100th clean sheet for Edison, with about
oh, Chris.
3 weeks. I've had it.
I mean, it's been frustrating me. I've been a cough for like 2 days, so I can't imagine it being 3 weeks.
Yeah. I think it'd be like 6-7 games between his 99th and 100th, which I think this Man City team is ridiculous. Also, Sterling's been around now in the Premier League for 7-8 years now, give or take, and he's only just at 100 goals.
Yeah, but there was periods when he wasn't an out-and-out striker, I suppose, when he was being used as a definite winger.
He's not a striker now.
No, but he has been playing in a way more push-forward role, more central than perhaps he did when he started his career. So,
for me, I'm a little bit surprised it took him this long. That's all.
I mean, I can understand that, but I think it shows how the game has evolved over the last even 5 years or so. The fact that wingers are now more likely to get in amongst the goals than strikers are.
Indeed. Wolves have Raul Jimenez has really got to do some apologising here, because I think it was only a second year, not a straight red, because these have missed 1 game. So they need to hope that he comes back cap in hand, basically, because he's got some apology to do, because he let the team down here. For sure.
He certainly did. And especially when you're going off the BBC Sport rankings, the 3 highest rated players were all on the Wolves side. They were Corda, Kilman and Jose Saar. And just to prove how not out of first gear City got, no one City player got more than a 6.5. So it just shows that they coasted to this victory. It
wasn't a good performance from Man City at all, but got the job done for sure.
Certainly did.
Right, we're going to move to a game now which had the opposite, really. Arsenal 3, Southampton 0. Arsenal absolutely dominated this game.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the Arsenal of old.
Yeah, certainly is. Arsenal, who haven't performed well. We thought the wheels had fell off the wagon in the past couple of games, and then you hear all the rumours about club captain Aubameyang not turning up for training, being found, and being took off the team sheet, and then the team going and putting a performance like this where they absolutely just dominated against Spurs, against Southampton. Sorry, in terms of possession, at least, with 61% to Spurs. Why do I keep saying Spurs? That's annoying. To Southampton's 39%. Ironically, had less shots on target than Southampton did. Southampton had 6 on target to Arsenal's 5, and pretty even in terms of shots in general, with Arsenal getting 15 to Southampton's 11. But it was just the clinical finishing of Arsenal. Great finish from Lacazette to open the scoring, which came off a great team build-up. 16 passes in the lead up to that goal. The second one come not long after, when Odegaard headed in across from a header essentially from Tierney. Tierney tripped over the ball, then was able to get the cross in. Ball came back to him, and he headed it into the pathway of Odegaard. And then the third came, I think it was Gabriel Magalhaes who nodded in the corner. But yeah, this was a return to form from Arsenal, and it shows that perhaps the weak link is Aubameyang. Maybe with having him not in the team and not having that pressure of him as captain, it kind of let the rest of the players play, I suppose. Saka was superb all game. Odegaard was he was getting close to the player he was when he joined the club on loan. I thought this was a quality performance, and a bad debut for poor Willy Caballero.
I don't know. I think Willy Caballero kept it down, to be fair.
Absolutely he did. But he's still let 3 on his debut.
If you think about how bad it would have been if he hadn't been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mark Pellegrini in the chat saying happy soccer, Matt and Meg.
Hello, sir.
Always a pleasure, sir. Don't forget to check out his amazing Christmas cracker with Derek over on VGM at some point after we've done VGM, of course, guys.
Then check out Man and Saz, because that's also good.
That is also epic. Over the weekend, it was fantastic. I have issues with a few parts of this match, though, Max. Partially with Arsenal fans complaining about Odegaard. Literally, my timeline was filling up with people complaining about Odegaard being the starting 11, saying, when is Arteta going to realise that he's unreliable, he doesn't contribute to a team, and then literally 30 seconds later, Odegaard scores. I'm like, VP playing people are going to be deleting tweet, because they will.
I mean, I think he was one of the better players on the pitch for all the game. I think Tierney probably had the best game. He was involved in pretty much everything that Arsenal were doing right in terms of attack. But yeah, I thought Odegaard was outstanding, and a well taken header. So yeah, I mean, I suppose it proves the fickleness of football fans.
It definitely does. I was very impressed with Martinelli as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the post midway through the second half. Saka also did the same. Tomiyasu forced Caldo into a good save. But it's the first goal which I want to talk about, Max, from this game. Southampton was actually putting some serious pressure on the Arsenal back line. And then Aaron Ramsdale began a move, which was like watching which was like watching Galaxy chocolate. You know, it's silky. When it melts, it's how silky it is, and it's and beautiful. Mixing in while you're in silk pajamas on a lion's rug sort of thing, with a burning fireplace, and you've got a glass of port in your hand, and you know it was pure perfection. This goal, Max.
You sounded like you were describing a flake advert then. Like,
do you know what?
Only the crumbs.
We're back to chocolate talk again.
But you are right though. It
was. If you want an example of total football,
yeah, that's exactly the kind of analogy I'm going to go for. It was very reminiscent of 1970s Holland, or the Invincibles era of Arsenal, or even the late 90s 2000s Barcelona, where it was a team goal. Yeah, Lacazette. It was a stunning finish, but the way that they threaded together 16 passes, pretty much everyone on the pitch got involved in that goal. Yeah, it was stunning to watch.
It really, really was. I mean, Tierney's rating was way higher than anybody else's after the game, according to the fans. Odegaard, Saka, and Ramsdale. Ramsdale having a very good season. Now he's settled in between those sticks. Yeah. Granted, Arsenal have lost away in the last couple of games, but at the same time, they've had some tough games. Let's not forget, Man United were in flux. You can never; those sort of games are always unpredictable. There've been some tough matches for them, but at the same time, this is all getting back on the track. Then, boy, they need to.
Yeah, and that win keeps them well in touch of the top four. I think they're hovering now in sixth, and there's only a couple of points that separates them and West Ham in fourth. So, the result came at the right time. They do have Tottenham kind of breathing over their neck with a couple of games in hand. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Arsenal needed this victory. To be fair, Southampton needed the victory as well.
They've winless in the last 23 games against Arsenal.
Yeah, they haven't got a win in the last 5. They picked up a couple of points, but it's been a lot of losses. It's not good, not looking good at all.
I mean, the next fortnight they've got to play Palace and Brentford. Are they winning them games? This performance, Max? This performance, are they winning them games? I don't think they are.
Well, I mean, Palace and Brentford both picked up victories this weekend.
Palace are soaring under Vieira.
And we've also got to take into account that it's likely that a lot of these matches may end up getting called off, which I'm sure we'll get to at the end of the match reports. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Indeed, let's cross that bridge by talking about a team who were very fortunate, in my opinion.
As were all of the top 4, to be fair. The top 5, aside from West Ham, but we'll get to West Ham. This was another great end-to-end game. Lots of penalties involved. 3 of the 5 goals were penalties, all well taken, brilliantly taken. Started the scoring with Rafinha. Getting the penalty. I think it was Marcus Alonso put in a poorly timed challenge on Dan James.
Yes.
But it was quickly back to 1 apiece when Mason Mount
reminded me of a young Frank Lampard who's run to the near post at Mags.
I mean, for me, this goal had the chance of being written off as well, because in the build-up, Marcus Alonso does rip down a defender. So I thought that may have got pulled, but it didn't. And
rip down defender? Like you're dropping down a fence, Max. Like
no, but the kind of way he bullied his way through to be able to get the crossing, it did look like a foul.
It was a bit ropey, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then about 15 minutes into the second half, Chelsea then get a free kick. Rudiger, not for the first time, getting fouled. And again, kind of like the Jimenez stuff, I don't see the point of the foul on Rudiger. He wasn't going anywhere. just a silly foul by Rafinha.
It was so poor.
Mm-hmm. But it was again another well taken penalty by Jorginho. And then we thought that's it. Now we're going to see the collapse. Get to the last 5 minutes, and Gelhardt scored a cracking goal, sliding into I think it was Tyler Roberts who put the cross in, but he ended up putting it past Mendy, and yeah, Chelsea's hearts were broken and Leeds were absolutely flying.
Mendy, in my opinion, should have done better there as well.
Yeah, he has really dropped off form. And then again, kind of like the games that we talked about earlier, Brentford and a late penalty is what seals it. And this time again, Rudiger brought down Matthias Klick, and another foul that didn't need to happen because whilst Rudiger was in the box, he wasn't going anywhere. Just shielding him would have been enough. But Klick takes him down, and Jorginho very calmly scores the third goal and breaks Leeds' hearts. I mean, on terms of balance, a draw probably would have been fair. Even though Chelsea did have the majority of the possession, it wasn't that much. It was only 58% to 42%. And shots were also pretty even, 16 to Chelsea, 12 to Leeds, 5 on target for Leeds, 6 on target for Chelsea. So all the way down the board, it was a pretty well matched game.
It was.
It's just this is what separates the elite from the rest of the Premier League. That kind of grit and that kind of riding your luck a little bit to get the wins when perhaps sometimes you don't deserve them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Thing is, Chris Kavanagh, who was the referee for this match, he didn't have a good game, Mags. He didn't have a good game at all. In my personal opinion, VAR had to correct his decisions on a new. I know you can make mistakes, but some of them was so blatantly obvious. He didn't give the Rudiger one at first. He waved off as no foul given. He gave it as a corner. I'm like, that was terrible. I could see it. You could see it. Stevie Wonder could see it.
I mean, he could, yeah.
But Chris Kavanagh couldn't. And he was closer than any of us. But thankfully, VAR actually gave it because it was a foul and it needed to be given. Chelsea obviously needed this win to stay in touch with the top two. Because obviously Man City winning, they needed to stay in touch with them. Because if they were on the verge of dropping to 5 points behind Man City here, and that would have been disastrous.
Yeah, especially after leading for so long in the season. Yeah, it would have been a worry for them if they hadn't picked up the victory, especially when you're seeing the rest of your kind of opponents picking up hard-earned victories all over the weekend. Yeah, Chelsea definitely needed this win to keep in touch.
Indeed, and let's not forget that Leeds, given how tight it is down there, obviously Leeds are still level with Southampton after this result, obviously, and they're only just behind Everton and Villa, which is kind of interesting to think about. You got obviously you got Watford and Southampton just below them, and just not too far below them is the bottom three, which are starting to pick up points left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone above 12 can really consider themselves. Anyone below 12 can really consider themselves safe yet, because a couple of bad results and with the group behind you picking up points, you can be quickly dragged into that relegation mire. It's showing for Southampton, showing for Leeds. Everton surely have got to be candidates for being dragged into a dogfight. Villa's results haven't been exactly lighting the world on fire. So,
well, they've been better since Steven Gerrard took over. We'll get to him in a moment, of course.
But still, they're only on 19 points.
Just true. Although they have picked up They have picked up 6 out of the last 12. They had
Yeah.
I don't know more than that, actually. About 9 out of the last 15, I think, which isn't too bad.
Yeah, 3 wins out of the last 5, I think, yeah.
Which is not bad, seeing as some of the caliber of opposition have had to go up against as well. I think they were expecting to get 9. We hope to get 9, and they got 9.
And
so
if it wasn't for those 3 wins, they would be in the relegation zone.
Yeah, they would absolutely be in there. We'll get to that in a moment, of course. Leeds, is Beelzebub been found out, Mags?
Yeah, it has. It has. I mean, I know they've struggled with injuries, but yeah, defensively they are so weak, so weak. I mean, they've conceded 25 goals in 16 games, which is one of outside the bottom 2. It's one of the worst in the division. It's it's not good. And they're just not scoring enough now. Only scoring 17 goals in that period. Yeah, it seems that the free scoring kind of all kind of like tail to the wind team of last season have been found out. Yeah, for me.
Put it into context, Max, a little bit. The next 5 matches that they've got to deal with for Leeds United are City away, Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, Villa away, and Burnley at home.
So by the time they get to that Burnley game, that could be a massive 6-pointer.
That could be a 6-pointer, Max. Absolutely. Yeah. Leeds probably will effectively write off the City and Liverpool game, but that's points they could be dropping while Burnley and other teams picking up points, as you said. We had a chance to get a point out of this game. It really should have knuckled down, but they made so many lackadaisical challenges, and that's let Chelsea steal one. Some people would say.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Speaking of stealing one, in my opinion, I think that the home team definitely did here.
Yeah, this is probably what the most contentious penalty of the weekend, of a weekend full of penalties. This was exactly like the City result. That Liverpool just destroyed Aston Villa all over the park. In terms of possession, they had 62%. In terms of shots, 5 times the amount of shots that Villa had, with 20 shots to Liverpool, 4 to Villa. Villa had no shots on target. Liverpool had 5. But yeah, it comes down to a penalty. Well taken penalty by Salah, especially with Martinez dancing on the line. But should it have been a penalty? Do you think it should have?
Well, VAR would have checked it, obviously. So as far as the refereeing decisions are concerned, it's a penalty, Max. It was a soft one, but
I mean, for me, the issue is that I don't think Mings makes a lot of contact. Yeah, he falls ridiculously forward to kind of block the path of Salah, but
clearly there's enough there for VAR to agree with referee's decision, Max, unfortunately, on that side of things. Obviously, it was well converted. Danny Ings, obviously making his return to Anfield in this game, of course, as well, almost got themselves a penalty themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't given. Again,
that's when there was the mix-up between I want to say Matip and Alisson,
which is unusual because obviously Alisson usually has quite a good rapport with that back line. It's not often you see defensive lapses like on that scale from Matip. He's usually pretty solid apart from mid-biscuit knees, Max.
Mm-hmm. It was good though for Gerrard to come back and get the kind of reception he did.
A hero welcome.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of former players, when they come back and they're managing oppositions, can sometimes get booed off the park. But yeah, he was absolutely he was he was adored at Liverpool, obviously being the one club man. But yeah, they showed him the proper respect, and yeah, I did like that.
Little fact for you, Max. This is the first time since he's been managing in the Premier League that no set of fans have sung Steve Gerrard slipped on his arse.
Well, I mean,
it's the only time it happened.
That's a small victory then for Steven Gerrard. I mean, the result didn't go his way.
Oh, and that's what people think about.
I mean, the result didn't go his way, but I think he can take a lot of positives from this result. Defensively, for the majority of the game, Villa was solid. Martinez was outstanding as awesome. Yeah, I thought there were a lot of good things coming out of Villa, but Liverpool I think they can count themselves lucky that they've been able to capitalise on a lackluster performance from them. Certainly not the vintage performances that we've seen of them recently, where they've just been terrorising teams. But again, like we said,
nobody can destroy a team week in, week out. Sometimes you've got to be able to grind a victory out.
Yeah,
as we mentioned earlier with Man City, you've got to. Sometimes the champion has to grind one out because
correct.
Sometimes, I mean, let's face it, we've got some big games coming up over the weekend coming up ahead, for example.
And you've got Inter in the Champions League.
Yeah,
should have been Salzburg, but that's.
I don't mind it being redrawn at all, mate. I really don't mind it being redrawn.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Absolutely. This is the leading figure in European football, and they can't even make a draw right. Ridiculous.
You're not wrong, Mags. I mean, there's some huge games coming up for Liverpool ahead. Obviously, in the running for over Christmas. Obviously, you've got Man City versus Leeds playing tomorrow, as things currently stand. Liverpool playing on Thursday against Newcastle. That's always a belter. Mm-hmm. And if Newcastle play like it did this weekend, we'll get to that. Don't worry. It could be a house sale there, I think, Mags.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, obviously, Liverpool Tottenham is next Sunday, of course, as well. And then Liverpool play Leeds, of course, the first game on Boxing Day.
And then I think it's Leicester after that, isn't it?
Leicester on the Tuesday, and then Liverpool playing Chelsea on New Year on the Sunday. It was on New Year's Day, but they moved it to the Tuesday.
So TV.
Indeed. So, although I won't think about it is, Max, is that I won't be able to see that because I'll be at SeaWorld, Florida. Wow. So I have to catch the highlights from you guys later on.
You will.
But yeah, so that's there's some big fixtures coming up for Liverpool. Villa, as we mentioned earlier, they won't mind too much about this because they have been picking up points elsewhere, and they'll pick up points elsewhere for sure. I'm relatively sure Villa will be fine because they have rebounded so quickly. They keep the momentum going, keep Ings fit, keep Martinez fit, and keep John McGinn spreading that ball around. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And keep holding McGinn in January because Newcastle might come knocking for him. Right.
That's a step down, surely.
Possibly the case, Mags. Right. I've got a lot. I've never seen a new manager so angry with his team at full time, Mags.
I mean, he had every right to be. To be fair,
Man United won, of course. Talk to me about.
And again, another match where the top five. I mean, Man City were a fifth, I think, currently fifth. Struggled to put away one of their lower league opponents, and they don't get much lower than Norwich, who are consistently out possessioned by clubs, consistently outshot by clubs. I think they've only got 8 goals all season. So this should have been a cakewalk for Rangnick's Red Devils. And it wasn't. I mean, in terms of possession, it was pretty much straight down the middle. Norwich had 47% of the ball, 11 shots, 5 on target. Man United had 53% of the ball with 13 shots and 5 on target. I mean, that's ridiculous that a team of Man United's caliber is being held point for point, stat for stat by Norwich. And it took a late penalty to separate the two. I mean, this was as clear a penalty as you are going to get. Max Aarons essentially wraps his arm all the way around Ronaldo and hauls him to the floor. And again, it was a well-taken penalty. But yeah, this was Man United needed a great performance out of David De Gea multiple times to keep them in this game. I think he saved a great shot from Timo Pukki
and then Kabak.
Yeah,
we've been slating Kabak since he joined Norwich, saying he's not living up to his potential. Started to a little bit here, and Ronaldo saved the day again.
Mm-hmm. And what makes it even worse, and what kind of shows how bad of a performance this was for Man United, is that Norwich were forced to make 5 changes to the team that lost to Tottenham. So this was a team that hadn't played together, that they drafted in players who hadn't had match minutes. They lost Grant Hanley after about 20 minutes with injury, which is I think Jacob Sorensen ended up coming on. And he's a midfielder. He ended up coming on and playing alongside Kabak in defence. So this was a put together Norwich team, and they certainly held their own against Man United. This was maybe kind of like a turning of the corner for Norwich. Hopefully they can use that as kind of like impetus to have some better results. But yeah, this was a gash performance by Man United.
It wasn't great. Dean Smith did call the penalty dubious. Is he just trying to deflect from his players a little bit here? I mean, to be fair, I think they played fairly well, to be fair. It was full of effort and endeavour. I don't know what more you could ask for of them, really. They gave it everything. I have a friend who lives in Norwich, not too far from the ground. He wasn't at the game, he couldn't get a ticket, but he was in a pub near the ground. And 3 Man United fans walked in at around about 55 minutes saying, having Man United fans who had left the ground saying, we were shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and then of course we got to win, but
from the whole team, I'd only say that De Gea looks like he comes out of this with any kind of respect. Ronaldo was quiet. The defense was as lackluster as ever. Lindelof put in an amazing performance, so Simon will be happy about that.
The chairman of the Victor Lindelof Appreciation Society, he sends his regards, no doubt.
Yeah, but this was just a poor performance by Man United. They should have absolutely dominated this game. I mean, it does mean that Rangnick is only the second ever Manchester United manager to get a clean sheet in his first 2 games.
Yes, first time since 1903, I believe, Mags, isn't it?
Yeah, Ernest Magnell was the first, and
I've admitted, Mags, you had to refer to notes there. You didn't know off the top of your head that one, did you?
I've got it on my notes here. Yeah,
you didn't have that one on to hand, because let's face it, if you had done, you'd have been that would have been interesting. But
exactly, but Rangnick clearly is a lot of work to do, and if he does get the permanent job, which the kind of rumor mill is suggesting, I think we can see a massive overhaul, because these are not the kind of players that Rangnick typically likes to play with. He likes a much younger team than this Man United team is. He likes a team that is willing to press a lot more than this Man United team is. I mean, he would be fuming at the fact that they give away nearly half of the ball. It's just, he's definitely got a job on his hands. But they got the victory, and at the end of the day, the 3 points is what is most important.
Well, that absolutely, they got the job done. Norwich have got a mountain to climb, absolute mountain to climb. But performances like this will help turn the corner.
The issue is what the issue has always been, though: scoring goals.
Against a goalkeeper not the caliber of David De Gea, no day they go in. So keep going, keep working hard, Norwich, because
that's
might go down in 19th. Might go down 19th, not 20th.
They've got some relatively tough fixtures coming up as well. I think they've got Villa tomorrow, I want to say.
Potentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, we will get to that.
We can cover partially that in a moment, Mag, because this Manchester United, of course, are supposed to be playing Brentford tomorrow. But that game, there are discussions over whether it is safe or not to do so. This all stems from I'm going to transition perfectly here, due to what happened at Brighton and Tottenham was postponed due to a COVID outbreak in the Tottenham squad. I believe 8 players and something like 6 staff now have been considered positive for COVID-19. Obviously, we wish them all the best and hope they make a full recovery, of course.
But that caused a lot of issues in Europe as well. It
did. Tottenham obviously also missed a Europa Conference League final game. Remind me who it was against, Mags. It was Villarreal. No, it wasn't Villarreal.
No, it wasn't Villarreal. It was against one of the incredibly poor teams that they've got. Let me see if I can find out.
It's Rennes.
Rennes, yeah.
To be fair, they're not the worst team in their group.
But it meant that Tottenham are in the draw for the next round if they stay in it. I mean, I know there's lots of talk of whether they're going to stay in it. I think they drew Rapid Vienna in the draw. But yeah, apparently UEFA rules say that if you have 13 players fit, you have to field a team. And Tottenham did have 13 players available, but we are also in a period of that we've never been in.
It's uncertain times. The regulation for that on state that they have to have the game completed by the 31st of December. Well, there's no open slot for that, so it won't be rescheduled. Then I think that means then Tottenham should be forfeiting it.
Well, this is it. But then, is it Tottenham's fault that they got the COVID outbreak? I mean, we're seeing now other teams getting COVID outbreaks.
Look at Brighton, prime example of that. Obviously, because they've got 3 or 4 positive cases at the club.
Man United have declared some.
Yes, and there's also a couple of players and staff members at Aston Villa as well. But their game against Norwich is not in doubt, apparently.
Well,
I double check that.
I mean, that's fine to say it now, but I think in this week's testing alone, there was a record of 42
it's the most
positive
ever.
cases,
yeah.
The most ever. It's very, very likely that pretty much everybody or every team will have somebody who gets this much more infectious strain of the COVID, this Omicron strain. Luckily, we're at the point where the potency of the strain is diminishing, because the whole point of a virus is not to kill off its host; it's to be able to reinfect other people. So as a virus gets more infectious, it tends to get less deadly, because
ironically,
it wants its host to be able to live so it can keep reinfecting. The whole point is for it to reproduce. So it's very likely that we'll have multiple cases of this Omicron variant outbreak in the Premier League. So I am not confident that this weekend's fixtures are going to go ahead. I hope that they do, because we have content to provide and we need to be able to do that. But yeah, it's not looking good.
It is not, unfortunately, on that side of things. But at the same time, It may be a case of where we need to just calm down a bit. Obviously, everyone out there needs to go and get their boosters, obviously, which will help matters massively. Obviously, that's a good thing. That aside, obviously, Brighton, the Tottenham have 2 games in hand because they've got the game here and they've got the game against Burnley in hand. Antonio Conte can't seem to get going, almost, it feels like.
Yeah, and he's had a decent start, especially in the last few weeks. He's got 3 straight Premier League wins. They've really kind of took themselves out of mid-table mediocrity to pushing towards those European spots again. And if they are able to capitalise on those 2 games in hand, they quite easily jump into that 4th spot with a 3-point cushion. So he'll want to get those games under his belt as soon as possible. And I think this COVID outbreak was the last thing that he needed.
Indeed, it's even moved into the championship game. The one tonight was supposed to be obviously Sheldon and QPR. QPR had an outbreak, so it's been called off, obviously. Obviously we here at Tekkers the indoor vaccination program, and we encourage you to, if you can, to get a vaccine, obviously. Absolutely. And to protect yourself and your loved ones, obviously. Okay, so let's move on to another game. Let's move on to at the risk of getting a slap here, Burnley versus West Ham United.
There's a Joe Tomlinson does that impression every single time on Football Day, and it really, really grinds me.
I do it out of love, though, Meg. So I actually do like Burnley. I do like Burnley. That's different.
Yeah. Woof. How did Burnley come away with a point in this game? Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you how, Mags. I'll tell you how. It's 2 men, that's why. Ben Mee and James Tarkowski.
Who are both looking very, very likely to be leaving the club in the next month or so, which is...
They dealt with a stream of crosses. I have not seen 2 defenders so comfortably deal with an air bombardment like they did.
They both centre-backs put in a great shift. Pope got back to the outstanding goalkeeper that he is. He's had a few mistakes, a few performances where he's not been at his best. He was at his best in this game. Jesus Christ. Him, me, and Tark kept Burnley in it. Even when Dwight McNeil tried to kind of do us over. I mean, they had a strong claim, mate. As a Burnley fan, that was a penalty. He knew it was a penalty. He had his head hung in shame, and for that not to be given that's shocking. That's absolutely shocking. Declan Rice could have finished us off with that almost worldy goal from 30 yards, but it's not like Burnley didn't have chances of their own. Jay Rodriguez almost nicked it at the death.
Chris Wood had a chance early on as well.
Yeah, so there was a lot of positives, and this is a West Ham team that are absolutely flying. 4th place, doing really well. Essentially, big free scoring. Coming off the result against Chelsea.
And Liverpool not long before as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this was a huge point for Burnley, and it means that we've drawn 4 of our last 5 games.
Well, it's worse. It's worse than that, or better than that in some ways. You've won 7, you lost 10. The grit that Burnley have is very, very clear. You are putting your back to the wall, and you're defending really well, and you can rely on your boys at the back, no problem. But you got to get more goals.
Defensively, we are. If you take Brighton out of the equation, who are in 11th, we have the best defense in the whole of the bottom half of the table. So defensively, we are solid, but we are struggling in a similar vein to Norwich, where we're just not getting enough goals. And for a really good analysis of our plot, definitely go check on our Tekkers YouTube page. Chris Harris, the he of many titles here at Radio Tekkers, has done
and many promotions, seeing as he's working for us, and Game of Two Halves, obviously over in a new full media brand as well.
Yeah.
He done a fantastic piece out now. So do go check that out after here. It's a fantastic bit of work. He'd appreciate the love for sure.
But he essentially breaks down all the issues that Burnley are having. But yeah, we seem to do so well in grinding points out, but not converting those points into wins. But
those points could be really crucial to you, and because you're picking up points. At least you're getting something.
Yeah, I mean, it's took us now to 11 points, which is just floating behind Watford on 13, a game in hand. So if we can turn a draw into a win, we can climb out of that relegation zone.
Exactly, in your hands. Hands.
It is.
In your hands for sure.
But we need goals. But, I mean, getting a point against West Ham is not something we would have even contemplated before the game. So
indeed, I hate to... I'm going to might get a Virgil stat from you and Mr. Harris for this one. You are 5 points worse off than you were after the same amount of games last season. One victory from your first 15 games is the lowest at this stage of a top flight season is 70-71. And that season you were relegated.
Yes. So all the omens say that this is do or die for Burnley.
But at the same time, you've conceded, as you've said, you've conceded fewer goals than Manchester United and Arsenal, who are fighting at the sharper end of the Europa League qualification bubble. I think grinding a win over Christmas, that's the key area. It's for the entire Premier League. What you get over Christmas, you can't lose the title. You can't win the title at Christmas, but you can lose it. You can't stay up at Christmas, but you can lose a lot of ground. And getting points is what matters.
And the good thing for Burnley is they've got some relatively easy ties in the Christmas running. Obviously, we've got Watford next, which is a huge game, absolutely huge. Then we've got Villa, Everton, United, and then dirty Leeds on the Sunday, the 2nd of January. So yeah, it's there's definitely points there to be picked up. If we can manage that and get ourselves out of that relegation zone, I will have a lot more confidence for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you call them dirty Leeds made me chuckle a bit. I'm sorry, Matt. Completely threw me off. I'm just going to do a quick glance at your fixtures. You got Watford on Wednesday. You've got Aston Villa on Saturday.
Just said that as well.
Everton and then Man United.
And then the dirty Leeds on the 2nd January. So cheers for listening. That was cool of you.
I was so difficult to try and get the stats up. I was half there, and I'm trying to do 2 things at once. It's not. It wasn't. See, for me, Mags, the big game for you guys though, and this is a big one for you. I think the big game that's going to decide whether you stay up or not is the game on the 19th of March.
Okay.
That's the game against Southampton. I think that's going to be a massive game for you guys.
I'm hoping that we are relatively safe by then, so it doesn't become a factor.
As in that a point, as in the points in that game could propel you into the Conference League.
I love your optimism, but I think that's far away from Burnley's reach. Just finishing 17th this season will be an achievement. And
if we put that in context for you, Mags, as things stand right now, you are just 11 points off it.
But we're also probably going to lose Tark and Ben Mee in a matter of weeks. So it's going to be an uphill struggle.
And possibly to one of the teams we're about to talk about now, Mag. So perfect lead in. And boy, do Newcastle need it if they can. Leicester 4, Newcastle 0. Talk to me.
Yeah. I've been beating this drum all season.
The Dakar drum, yes.
The Dakar drum. I have said time and time again, you start Daka, you get goals. This guy, and I know it was in the Austrian league, which is probably subpar compared to even the French league, but the guy's a killer. The guy's an absolute killer when it comes to goals. And lo and behold, you start with Daka and you get goals. Tielemans, one of my favourite players and one of the best players of the season for last year, with two goals. Maddison really hitting form again after spending a lot of time to get over injuries, I suppose, and he looked a kind of shadow of his former player. He's really starting to come back to that person who forced his way into the England setup. Kasper Schmeichel did really well. He's had some lackluster performances recently, but yeah, what a massive victory for Leicester. And after every time that Newcastle kind of looked like they're going to be making moves to fight their way out of this relegation zone, they come back and put on performance like this where they were terrible, absolutely.
They were, Newcastle have got some serious rebuilding to do in January. Granted, they've got the money to use here, but it's more a case of who's going to want to go to a sinking ship, because the first person won't want to go there. It's only when everyone's going to be like, well, who else is going there, sort of thing. I mean, who else believes in this project?
It's quite clear that defensively they are one of the worst teams in the whole of the Premier League. I think they've got the worst goals against record with 34. So defensively, they are going to be looking to pick up players, and it looks like it's Burnley who are going to suffer because of that, if the reports are to be believed. So if they picked up me and Tark, that would go. It'll make big moves in terms of shoring up that defence. But it's for every week that Newcastle are in this position is one less week that they can climb out, and you could throw all the money in the world at players. When they look at that table and they see that they are 5-6 points adrift of safety, the players are going to be thinking, why would I go there? No chance of Europe next season. We're in a dogfight every single week. Every game's a 6-pointer. Yeah, I'm not about that life. I want to be playing flowing football. I want to be playing for a top 6 club. So yeah, I think that's going to be a massive struggle for him. But you just can't take away from the Leicester performance. I mean, we've spoke about how Brendan Rodgers looked like he had his head turned with the Man United job, how Vardy, who was very kind of out of form, was kind of holding the team back by being on the team sheet when they had other players who potentially could fill that role whilst he was rested, and that proved true. This was a dominant performance by Leicester. Even though they had less of the ball, less of the actual shots, they were clinical. 4 goals out of 5 shots on target. That's as clinical as it gets. It was a great performance by Leicester, specifically Maddison and Daka, and Tielemans. I think he was back from injury. So great that he got in on the score sheet. But yeah, Newcastle with a hell of a lot of work to do.
Tielemans had a great game. First start since 7th of November, of course. He's obviously he's been out injured. He's back in for this game. Already lot of illness in the squad, and don't believe it was COVID related either. It was just illness in general. There's some stinking colds and various bugs going around, unfortunately, moment due to people not socializing for some time. That's why the cold is hitting you hard. So Johnny Evans was thought of a hamstring injury 6 minutes into his 100th game for a club in the league. So Wilfred and Didi had to play centre half.
Yep.
The
second, the second midfielder that we've seen after take up the mantle of defender.
But he did a fine job, on my personal opinion, because despite that setback, they did their first clean sheet in 17 games. Castagna did, however, was very lucky that Schmeichel was able to sprint back fast to clear that ball off the line.
Yeah, and it wasn't long after that they actually set up the second goal for
James Maddison. For me, though, was the man of the game. I mean,
yeah, again, someone who's returned to form over the last 4 or 5 games. I think this is maybe his 4th game in a row that he's actually got on the score sheet.
Yeah,
the kind of form that got him in that England squad.
I mean, my personal opinion is I think he's an arrogant prick. I generally think he is, but he's starting to back it up now. But that's my personal feelings. But at the same time,
is it the sideburn?
No, it's the fact he's trying to be Vardy 2.0. I don't try and be a carbon copy. Be your own bloke. Do your own thing. Don't try and emulate somebody. And he's starting to do that now. I think he's starting to actually make the team tick. I mean, he was unselfish, setting up Tielemans for his second. He was pivotal in Daka's goal, and he was obviously exchanging passes with Daka before he scored himself.
And that to me
should be playing.
Yeah, that to me highlights everything that was good about Leicester in this performance. That the whole team stood up to be countered, and they, instead of having reliance on one player, which they ordinarily do with Vardy. I mean, that's no slight on Vardy. He's the kind of player that you can do that. You can lump the ball forward, and 9 times out of 10, he'll be the one who gets on the end of it. Without Vardy in that role, they had to work as a team, and the way that front line were setting each other up and assisting each other for goals just shows that there is an option without Vardy there, and that option clearly has a hell of a lot of goals in it.
The really weird thing is that I don't know if you've heard of Casey McAteer before this game, but he was named man of the match.
Okay,
he was on for 2 minutes. This is what happens when you let the fans vote for things. Okay, we've learned from Boatface. He was on the pitch for 2 minutes. 18th minute came on, and he got the highest rating by some margin.
And I think that's more of a case because he's a young homegrown player. So the fans are voting for him for that. For me, man of the match was probably Maddison. If not, probably then Tielemans and then Daka. But I think Harvey Barnes is also starting to really show his class. We made a big deal of him last season when he was so exciting to watch, but wasn't the best at decision making. Certainly didn't know when to release the ball in time, or he shot when maybe he shouldn't have shot. Now he's certainly got that kind of maturity. So I think Barnes had a pretty decent game as well.
Yeah, Leicester, I feel they bounced back up to 8th place. They're chasing down the Champions League places. Well, probably not Champions League now this season, unfortunately for them. But Europa League spots for sure. They'll be in the mix for sure. It all depends on how things go over Christmas, of course.
They need to string more wins together.
That's it. They need to do that because that's only their second win in 7, and they need more wins for sure because it is so tight at midfield. One loss and you're down to like 13th. So
but they've got some tough games coming up as well.
Yeah,
because they've got Spurs, they've got Everton, where they'll be looking to perhaps pick up points, but then it's City, then Liverpool, and then Norwich on New Year's Day. So they've got some tough games in the next 3, and then after that, it should be relatively easy sailing once they get past Norwich. They've then got Watford, Burnley, They've got Brighton, so winnable game certainly. But they need to string that they need to get that form going, because if you look at the form guard for the teams that are above them, you've got Tottenham won the last 3, Man United inexplicably won the last 3. You've got Chelsea winning 3 out of the last 5, and then you've got Liverpool and Man United just winning everything that ever comes their way. So to force your way into that, you need to get some wins strung together.
Indeed. And Mags, you have perfectly teed me up there for a team that can't seem to win no matter what you do.
Poor Palace can't get a victory.
Of course, good to Palace. I'm talking about Everton, of course. Palace are doing better than we thought. Without question, they've been the surprise package of the season.
They've had a poor run. I think they lost the last 3, so they certainly needed a win. Everton were in a downward spiral. Got a win in the last game and then fell back down to earth with a bump against Palace. Totally outclassed all the way through the game. How Rafa Benitez is still in a job is absolutely beyond me. Palace has 61% of the ball, 17 shots to Everton's 12. Both teams had 6 shots on target, but I think the difference is that Palace knew where the goal were, especially Conor Gallagher. He certainly knew where the goal was. He had an outstanding performance.
Deserves hitting in space at the moment as well, for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, hopefully, in the World Cup squad next year, because playing like this, you can't. How do you leave at home?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for the first goal, the Palace scored. He was able to sweep it. I think it was Ayew what put the cross in. But his second goal, that was a goal made by one man. That goal was made by Conor Gallagher. It was sublime. Poor free kick taken by Everton. The ball essentially lofted into the edge of the box. Everton made an absolute gash of it. Palace were able to win the ball back, and Gallagher was able to curl a worldie into the top corner.
It was beautiful.
After Everton had quite a significant period of pressure as well, where it looked like they may be forcing their way back into the game when Rondon got his first goal to kind of bundled it over the line. It looked like Everton were maybe kind of going to pull something out of this game. Not something they didn't particularly deserve it, but it looked like they were going to do that. But yeah, it wasn't to be. Palace get back in the win column with a great performance.
Now, as much as I do not like to take shots at Everton, who am I kidding here? I'm going to try and remain impartial here. I'm not keeping on anyone, am I? Okay. The whistling and the jeering from Everton fans when Benitez, as he's entitled to do, by the way, Everton fans, decided to hook Richarlison just before the hour mark. Okay. At that point, and I know, Maggie, you've got the stats in front of you, unfortunately. How many touches did Richarlison have before in the entire game?
I just need to get the actual times up. So in 58 minutes, so just short of an hour, so 58 minutes, Richarlison touched the ball 10 times.
That's ridiculous.
He had 10 touches of the ball. He was exactly like we have described him on this show time and time again. For every one performance where he's a world beater, where he's unplayable, where he is a threat, there are too many performances where he is like this, where he is anonymous, where he's taking up a position of somebody who does give a shit, because he doesn't. There's too many times he doesn't give a shit about the game, and he didn't care in this one. Didn't track back. Didn't attempt to get himself involved in the football. He was just happy to just float around at the top of the pitch and wait for the ball to come to him. So for the fans to boo Benitez for taking him off. I don't get it. That's to me is booing Benitez because they wanted to boo Benitez.
The ironic thing here is as well, of course, that as soon as Charlton was hooked, Everton started playing better.
Yeah,
Rondon, who you have been slating for months.
Yeah, I am not Rondon's biggest fan. I think he's a great footballer. I just think he's unfit, and he doesn't seem like for the weeks and weeks of game time he's got, it doesn't seem to have got any fitter. But he gave a shit. He put in effort.
He did. He tracked. He worked as hard as he could. And not only that, but everyone else stepped their game. Andros Townsend had a shot, narrowly go wide. Anthony Gordon looked up for it all of a sudden. When maybe should have passed and are going for Golvo.
To go back to Rondon in the 12 minutes between him coming on the pitch and him getting the goal, he touched the ball more times than Richarlison did in the whole of that first hour.
Well, that tenure.
Yeah, exactly. It shows that he cares. He may not be he
went
best
hunting for the ball.
Yeah, exactly. He also brought in other players to the front line. He was a really good target man. Like I said, he had Townsend brought into the game. He played passes for Anthony Gordon, who should have passed, and maybe it could have all been different.
Gaeta certainly kept it. Certainly kept Palace in the lead in this game.
Yeah,
because absolutely. Everton did come back into it. I mean, this looks like Palace walked it, and for the first hour, yeah, they did. But as soon as Richarlison was hooked off, it was a different game.
Yeah,
I've genuinely. I mean, in fact, he had the sulks about it, and I actually was watching this as well. My break at work, and they actually had. They put the camera on Richarlison after Ronaldo scored, and he was sulking even worse.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like, grow the fuck up. Okay, I mean, you're not playing for Barcelona, mate. You're playing for Everton.
Your team's in the mire. There's no two ways about it. This team are struggling, and they are quickly dropping down the league. Indeed. You, as a Brazilian international, as probably the highest paid player in the squad, should be leading the line. And it's all well and good taking the plaudits when you put in a world-beating performance every now and again, but you should also take the criticism when you are playing poorly. And he played really, really poorly. And I don't think that it was right of the Everton fans to boo Rafa on this. I think the boo should have been aimed straight towards Richarlison because he was piss poor.
Indeed. I've just done a basic math. He's on 90 grand a week. Which
ridiculous money for his output.
Which is I think roughly that doesn't take into account tax and everything. But that's what he earned last year, 90 grand a week.
Ridiculous.
And
he should be putting in more consistent performances. And this is a team that are crying out for Dominic Calvert-Lewin to come back.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not due. I think he's getting pushed back further and further. He may be back after Christmas. Everton are desperate for him back by that time, but he may be sacked. And I'm not entirely sure that in this they justified. I mean, Palace are doing remarkably well. Basically, a brand new squad. So Vieira's got his team in. So good for him. He's doing a great job. Yeah, are we seeing a similar thing at Everton, Mags, that we saw at Old Trafford here, maybe? And at Chelsea before that, when they wanted to get rid of managers before there, are we seeing maybe player power to trying to get rid of their manager?
I don't know if it's a case of that. I think that Rafa is, in terms of the players, is probably more respected than, say, Ollie was. Probably more respected in terms of managerial quality than, say, Frank Lampard was. He certainly doesn't seem like to be a manager that riles his players up. Seems to always be quite kind of like placid and agreeable. I think the issue is just that Everton was so reliant on the output of Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
There was no plan B, and the plan Bs that they brought in with Rondon hasn't worked. Richarlison hasn't stepped up to take that mantle.
Walcott hasn't done it either. You think he would?
They've made some poor choices in terms of signings.
Damari Gray was a good signing, and better than the money they paid for him as well.
Yeah, for the money, absolutely.
He should be contributing more, but at the same time, does he fit in his style of play?
Probably not. But at the end of the day, when you have your hands tied in terms of where you can go financially, you pick up what you can, and they'll certainly make money on him in terms of selling him on. But yeah, it's just there's no confidence in this Everton team. I think they go into every game with the outlook that they're going to lose, and if you do that, you probably are going to lose. They need to find that drive from somewhere. Hopefully, like we said, once Dominic Calvert-Lewin is back and he can get on the score sheet a few times, it might boost the rest of the team. But I just don't see where Everton pick up wins, which is sad because I like Rafa as a manager. I think he's one of the best managers that the Premier League have ever had. But
is he like Mourinho, in my opinion? Is he a manager from a bygone age? I don't know.
This is the sticking point. Has football passed him by?
Is he now just literally a fat Spanish waiter?
I mean, I don't think his time at Newcastle helped him a great deal. He got used to crap teams playing crap football, and maybe that's what he's bringing to Everton. Maybe they needed the Rafa that led teams to European glory, and not the Rafa that helps keep up Newcastle in 17th place. Yeah, I think football may have passed him by.
I mean, their next 5 games, Mags, are Chelsea away, Leicester at home, Burnley away, Newcastle at home, and Brighton at home. And then Norwich away.
Oof.
There's some gutsy performances for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna need some gutsy performances for sure. They need to pick up points. I mean, you can probably write off the next 2.
I don't know. With this Chelsea team seem to be blowing very, very hot and cold. But you would expect Chelsea to win that. If the Leicester that turned up over the weekend shows up at Goodison Park, that's another loss. It seems that everybody's season is pivotal on how they perform against Burnley. The odds say that'll end up being a draw.
I shouldn't laugh, Meg, but at the same time, these are not lost. At the same time, we should probably look at Crystal Palace's next few fixtures. They are Southampton at home, Watford away, Spurs away, Norwich at home, West Ham at home on New Year's Day. That's a big one.
But 3 potential winnable games there. I'm sure they can. They may want to capitalise on Tottenham being COVID hit in that Boxing Day game, if it takes place. So that's a potential banana skin there. So Palace will be looking going into Christmas. Will be looking to be going into the new year, maybe 9 to 12 points better off than they are now, leading to the Brighton game, which is certainly winnable. And then at the end of January, the visit from Liverpool.
Yes, Palace are a team which a lot of people think it's a bogey team. Not so much nowadays, but at the same time, can see why people see it that way. I'm just blown away by Gallagher though. I mean, he's in contention for Player of the Week, in my opinion. Just for context,
not trying to show my hand too early, but he's between 2 for me.
Yeah, same. It is for me. He's in contention for sure. I mean, he has been involved directly in 41% of all of Palace's goals. He hasn't played a match for Chelsea yet in the Premier League.
He's played more minutes for England than he has for Chelsea. That's mental.
That's madness, Mag. That's madness. But how you said that third for Walcott when he went to the World Cup.
Very true.
But at the same time, at least he's getting game time here.
I mean, he's 21-year-old. This is his first kind of real test in the Premier League. Like I said, he's been involved in. Yeah, he's been involved in over 40% of the goals. He was in the middle of everything that has been good for Palace in this game. 6 goals already this season. Yeah, this is a kid who he belongs. He belongs in this league. He's too good for Palace. Let's put it as clear and crystal as that. He's too good for Palace.
I think that's fair. The thing is that Chelsea, will they keep him, or will they just sell him on like they do with so many of their talent and regret it?
I think what he's done is double, maybe trebled his value. So whoever does pick him up, whether it's Palace, I don't know if they've got an option to buy, but if they do, I'm sure that they'll be forking out a big chunk of change for Conor Gallagher. But yeah, you just can't see him forcing his way into that Chelsea midfield, which is a shame because I think he would fit in really, really well.
I'm having a quick glance at the news about this because I'm pretty sure because it's. Just click the notification there. Just having a quick glance at the news about it. There's a lot of people saying that they're putting pressure on Chelsea to let them sign him. Basically, I apologize for my Russian accent here. Marina Granos.
Brilliant.
It's a bad hand in countdown. Marina, we'll call her that, has to either by July, he's only been on loan at Charlton Athletic, West Bromwich Albion, and Swansea. He was actually quite good with West Brom last season. Actually, Mag, I believe, remember said it correctly as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically. But if he's going to play Gallagher, he's got to drop Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech, or Werner.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Werner's the obvious one because he's not in form at all, but he's also a £50 million striker.
And Loftus-Cheek as well, of course. He's started a fourth way into Tuchel's team. I've got a feeling that Gallagher will end up at Palace permanently in January. That's my personal belief.
I think he will end up at a bigger club.
In January, but I dare say he'll move on further. Who knows? Maybe Newcastle will snap him up. Sort of.
What a step down! What a step down!
But at the same time, Mags. At the same time, though, this could be the place where completely they mold him around him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the sort of player you can turn into that from that lump of coal into that perfect diamond.
Yeah, I mean,
bang.
If his Palace status isn't sealed pretty soon, I can see the likes of Tottenham coming in for him. I think that he could fit in really well, knowing that they'll probably lose Kane at the beginning of next season. I think Conor Gallagher, whilst he's not like for like, he'd certainly add to that forward lineup. And then you could maybe have Son as your main attacker, and him then supported by Lucas and Gallagher. That'd be an interesting front line.
It would be. Right, Max, we should probably think about wrapping things up here. Who's your player of the week? You
So,
narrowed it down?
Yeah, I said I had two. The other one would have been Nick Pope. I think he pulled Burnley up by the bootstraps. I know Ben Mee and Tart were solid in front of him, but Nick Pope was peppered all game and pulled off some top draw saves. But for me, it's the guy we've spent the last 10 minutes or so waxing lyrical about. It's Conor Gallagher, from a 21-year-old kid who's never played for his parent club to put on a performance like this where everything that Palace did correct went through him. Yeah, I've got to go with young Conor Gallagher.
It's not a bad shout. He was quite close to it for me. For me, James Maddison just nicked it because he's been on a well. That's what they're both England teams. They're both two very young, hungry English talents, and more temporary boys, more of the same, please. Make Southgate's task difficult when it comes to picking his World Cup squad. He wants to have that difficult problem for sure. He wants to have like 20, 25, 30 players to choose from rather than just your obvious 23. If that's the case, then we're going to have a World Cup to commentate on next winter, Meg, aren't we?
Yep, we certainly are.
As we're saying that as well. That's so weird saying that. Right. So Conor Gallagher for you, absolutely deserves him. James Maddison, equally, in my opinion, deserves it. They share Player of the Week from us. Okay, so we should for people catching us on Video Demand, where have you been? We'll be catching up with you guys all back in our normal slot next week after Chain Wrestling. Mags,
if there's any football to report on,
if that's the case, we'll bring a special report, of course. But in any case, your lordship, where can people get in touch with you?
They can find me down here on the Twitters at PodfatherMags, where I'm involved in a lot of content here on Radio Tekkers, but also over on Visionaries Global Media and the Chair Shot, covering a multitude of topics, whether that be wrestling, MMA, or football. Definitely come and check me out and come and check out some of my content.
Absolutely do so. Obviously, check out Chain Wrestling if it's back next week. Hopefully, it will be. Could be miss you.
It will. Sar's a strong young pup. He'll be back very soon.
Young?
Well, youngish, relatively young.
He's older than you, Megs.
He's not. I'm older than him.
Really?
By I think about 6-7 months.
I was giving you credit, Megs. Okay, fine, fair enough. Old git. Okay, obviously you can find me at the Matchday UK. Find everything basically through that. Don't forget, of course, to follow the channel Radio Tekkers, obviously, at Radio Tekkers, and obviously the show at the Volley Live. We'll be back next Monday, hopefully rounding up some more Premier League action. That's if games go ahead, I suppose. So obviously, stay safe out there. Be sensible, wear your mask, and get your boosters, guys. On behalf of myself and Mags, we're out of here.